Hello, everyone. Maybe some of the other presenters could confirm that you can hear my voice. Good. Okay. So hello, everyone. It's 9 o'clock here in Finland, which means that I think we shall start the presentation on time. I hope that you will be able to join us for the whole presentation, so that you'll be able to hear all of the information that I have to give to you guys, as well as then at the very end, I hope that we'll have a good time for questions. Please use the chat for questions. I will try and answer as many as possible at that stage. But firstly, as I said, greetings and greetings from Finland. My name is Johanna. I work at the University of Turku as the International Education Specialist, which means that I work with our international degree programs, the admissions part especially, and also I work with our international partners, like the one that we are now working with today. So I will just go on with my presentation, and you can write your questions at any stage, but I will not be answering them except at the very end. So I'll just go through the presentation. You may also get the answers to your questions during the presentation. That's always possible. Okay, so first of all, Finland. Finland, of course, is in Europe, at the very northern part of Europe. You can see it on the screen in blue. The population of Finland is, especially compared to your country, very small. We have about 5.5 million people here in Finland, and it's really a country of a lot of nature. We have a lot of lakes, islands, and the majority of our country is actually covered in forests. So we are a very good place to come if you're looking for a peaceful country with a lot of possibilities to visit nature, have clean air, and basically just be in a very nice environment. We have 4 very distinct seasons, which means that, well, right now we are moving on to winter. In the part that we are living in, which is at the southern part of Finland, we don't have any snow at the moment, but we are hoping to have some snow at the beginning of next year. That's usually the time we get snow also here in the southern part of Finland. But why would you choose Finland, apart from the fact that we have clean air and a lot of forests? It's one of the safest countries in the world. It's the happiest country in the world, according to the World Happiness Report. And it's a country where everyone has the same opportunities. So regardless of where you originally come from, your gender, your religion, all of that, it doesn't matter. You have the same opportunities. And of course, we offer very good quality education on all levels, starting all the way from preschool to the university. So the quality of education is high. Also, it's very easy to get by as an international student in Finland because almost everyone speaks very good English. So you don't have to know the Finnish language at the time you arrive in Finland. You will be able to get by in normal life as well as in academia, of course. So those are some of the reasons why you would choose Finland as a country to study in. Our town, Turku, which is in the southwestern corner of Finland, it's not a very large town, but it is certainly a town of students and higher education. So we have several higher education institutions in our town and about 40,000 students altogether. So I think every fifth student or every fifth person you meet on the street is actually a student, or they are working in one of the institutions of higher education. So it is a town of students where there's always something going on for students, and the students are very visible in the town, so that it's certainly a place to be as a student. The University of Turku then. So let's go to the actual point of today, so our university. Our university celebrated its 100th year anniversary this year, so we are now 100 years old. The University of Turku is the first Finnish language university in Finland, which of course also means it's the first Finnish language university in the world. It was founded with the help of the common people. So the people in Finland donated money to be able to form a university that would be a university for the Finnish-speaking population of Finland. There has been academic education in our town, in Turku, all the way from 1640, but the current university is, as I said, now 100 years old. The University of Turku is, we believe, a very good choice for any student coming to study in Finland and in Europe in general. Our teaching is based on the research done by all of our researchers, which means that it's all the teaching is based on the most current research and research findings, as well as the use of up-to-date facilities. So, of course, our libraries are very good, but also our IT facilities. In our laboratories, we have all of the most current equipment for use for all of the students as well as the researchers. Our teaching methods are very versatile, so it's not just about sitting in lectures and listening to a professor, but rather it's working on your own, finding the right answers, finding the solutions to problems on your own or with your colleagues, the other students studying the same subject as you are studying. Also, we focus quite a lot on working with international and local companies, which means that students get to work with potential employees already at the time of studies. So they can work with the company and learn what the company does, how to implement the things they learn in the university into real life. Our international programs especially are very small, so that all of the students get very good help and teaching from the professors, because there's only a few students per professor always in the classes. And of course, we also offer personal support and student services all through your studies. So if there's something that you need help with, there's certainly going to be someone who can help you. Our university is one of the most international universities in Finland. We have about 20,000 students currently, out of which there's about 100 nationalities. Of some nationalities, there may be 1 or 2 students, but then again, of other nationalities, there's going to be quite a lot of students already in our university. About 1,600 international students every year. Some of these students will be exchange students coming just for half a year or 1 year of studies, but a large proportion is also degree students doing their bachelor's, master's, or a PhD in our university. And we are happy to say that 92%, so almost all, of our international students are satisfied with their experience at our university. So that's certainly something that we can be proud of. We had a survey done to our students a couple of years ago. This is starting to be a bit old, it's from 2017, but the results were very good, so we are still very proud of the results because almost all of the students who answered our survey, they were happy with the studies here. They felt that our university and the town is a very good place to be as a student, and they are satisfied with their experience, and they chose us because of the research we do. So the quality of research is very important, of course, to all students. If you are interested in knowing more what it is like to be a student in our university, please take a look at our student ambassadors. Our student ambassadors are voluntary students studying in our international programs, and they will be able to show you guys what it is really like to be a student. For example, on our Instagram page, we have the so-called International Mondays, where one of our international ambassadors always takes over the university Instagram page for a day and shows what their life as a student in our university is like. Our university has 8 faculties. One of them is going to be brand new from the beginning of of the coming year, so the beginning of 2021. But this means that we offer education in a very large variety of fields, all the way from education to economics and everything in between. So it is very likely that we may offer something that is of interest also to you who may be wishing to apply to a Finnish university. We offer, as I previously mentioned, we offer degrees on all levels at the university. So of course our university is a full university. We offer bachelor degrees, master's degrees, and doctoral degrees. All of the degrees are working on the basic European model, which means that the bachelor's degrees are 3 years, master's degrees are 2 years, and the doctoral degrees then a further 4 years of studies. On our bachelor level, most of our education is in Finnish, so there's very little on offer for international students. But then we offer a lot of opportunities on the master as well as, of course, on the doctoral level in English as well. So those are opportunities for international applicants. Our international degree programs, and I'm now talking mainly about our bachelor and master programs, they are in the areas where we are good at. So in our core strength areas where we do a lot of current research with our international partners, and we have formed international programs based on that research. So that's why we have international programs on those fields. We work strongly with the idea of multidisciplinarity, which means that the programs may be already formed so that there is teaching from several faculties or several programs, several fields of study within the program, or the students within the program can choose to do some studies in a different field to make their own program or their own degree more interesting and more valid for themselves on what they want to be in the future. And of course, we also try to ensure that all of the programs have a strong focus on employability. We want to make sure that all of our graduates are ready to move on to the working life, or perhaps move on further into academia, depending on what their future plans are like. We have 3 international bachelor's degree programs, but they don't have any intake in 2021, which means I will be focusing mainly on our master's degree programs that have intakes in the coming year. We admit to our international programs about 450 students every year. So if you divide 450 with 15, you find out that our programs are actually rather small. And that is one of our goals, because we want to make sure that all of the students within a program have the opportunity of working closely with their fellow students, get to know all of the students, and also get to know the researchers and teachers in that field, so that they can then get very close contacts with their teachers, and also that they can get the personal guidance that we want all of the students to be able to have during their studies. Within the degree programs, well, there's core subject courses and methodology and all kinds of things that you can usually find in a degree program. But as I said, there's also the possibility of doing cross-disciplinary choices for the students. And we always wish to make sure that our students are advised to find their own study paths, so that not everyone has to do exactly the same choices, but rather that the student realizes what kind of a choice would be the best ones for me personally. It is also possible when you are studying in our university to go on exchange, let's say to another European country for half a year, or perhaps do an internship within your studies. We also encourage all of our students to learn Finnish. Even though they may not be staying in Finland, many of our graduates do want to stay in Finland. But even if you're not staying in Finland, it's always an asset to know a little bit of the language of the country you've been living in, even if it is only for maybe 2 years. After you're here as a student, you get to work in the way that you start realizing what do you know, how do you present what you know to the future employee, so that once you are graduated, you will be able to find your own career after studying in our university, and perhaps also taking part in some extracurricular activities, because we, for example, have a very good society for startups for students. So if a student is interested in starting a startup or in any other way of working with the startup scene, they will be able to do that through the association. Very quickly, I'm not going to go through all of our programs because there's 15 of them, so that would take far too long. So I've got a few slides about in sort of which areas we have programs in. So we have programs in health and biomedical sciences. So our biomedical sciences program is rather popular. Students find very interesting opportunities here. It's a program that is divided between our faculty of medicine as well as faculty of technology and sciences. Then we have programs in biosciences and physical and chemical science. So, for example, food development is something that our university has been doing research on for a very long time. So that's something that we are very strong in, is food development, the study of food development, the idea of how to find new opportunities in the food industry. Then we have several programs in the sort of wider field of social sciences and economics. So, for example, our Global Innovation Management program, which is run in our Turku School of Economics. So it's a business program that's very popular. And then we have smaller programs like gender studies or education and learning, which are also interesting for international applicants, because these are the kind of things that are very they are studied a lot in the Nordic countries, and they are something that we in Finland are good at. We are good at education. We know how to educate the future children and so on. So if you are interested in that, that may be a good choice for you as well. And then we also have programs in ICT, so information and communication technology in certain specified fields. So it's also something that we offer on the master level. The tuition fees depend a bit on the program, but the range is from 8,000 euros for one academic year to 13,500 euros. The tuition fee covers all of the teaching, of course, all of the studies, all of the academic guidance within the program, but also all of the optional studies you may wish to take, any language courses you are taking within the university, all the library facilities, IT, on all of the study counseling and everything that the university offers. So basically, after paying the tuition fee, the student gets to enjoy all of the facilities of the university and not having to pay extra for let's say, using a language course or doing something like that, but rather that once you pay the tuition fee, you are free to make your choices within the university. Just making sure that you do what is required in your program so that you can also graduate in time. We also offer scholarships to the best students. So we offer scholarships to 30% of those students who are admitted to our programs. They cover the full tuition fee or half of it. And the scholarships are based on academic merit. So they are based on the same criteria as you would be chosen into the program with. So it depends a bit on the program, but the idea is that the students that are academically the best and also have the best background for a specific program may then be offered a scholarship to cover either half of their tuition fee or the full tuition fee. We also have a scholarship that you may apply to after you studied with us for the first year, that then covers the tuition fee for the rest of your studies. So that's for the students who did not receive a scholarship at the very beginning, but have done well in their studies. So we want to encourage those students also with a scholarship. Then let's go into how to actually get admitted to our programs. So to all of our programs, we have the general admission criteria, which are basically that you have to have a bachelor's degree or other first-level university degree that gives access to master-level studies, and you have to have strong English language skills. Those are the two things everyone has to have. If either one of these is missing, then unfortunately you would not be admitted. With the bachelor's degree, it doesn't actually have to be finished at the time of application. So let's say one of you is still studying for your bachelor's at this stage, and you know you'll be graduating in June next year. You can still apply. You just need to provide us with proof of graduation by the beginning of August to ensure your study place. Then the English language skills. Most of our applicants prove their language skills with an Ielts or a TOEFL. Those are the most common ways of proving language skills, and usually valid for most of our applicants from India, for example. This is something that we do not make exceptions on. You need to prove your language skills. If you can't prove them, then unfortunately you won't be admitted. When you apply, you have to provide us with all of the relevant enclosures, which means basically your academic credentials as well as your language proof as scanned copies that you attach to the application form. I will go a bit more in detail on that a bit later. Then, of course, because our programs are very different, the students that they are looking for into our educational learning program may be a bit different to the students they're looking for in information and communication technology, especially based on the background of their studies. So once you are looking to apply to us, to our programs, make sure that you read the specific admission criteria for that specific program you are applying to. All of the programs have the same basic ones I already talked about, but then they may require you to have a certain kind of background. So they may not admit you with any kind of bachelor's. And they may also include such things as a motivation letter or a pre-assignment. Some of our programs also have an online interview so that they invite the best applicants to an interview and then make the final decision based on that interview that they hold to the applicants. Then just quickly, if you are then admitted to our university, of course, one of the things that is important to students is where would you be living? What kind of apartments are we offering? And also what does it actually cost to live in Finland and in Turku? The university as such does not offer housing. We don't have any housing options at the university, but we work closely with an organization called the Student Village Foundation. They offer student accommodation very close to campus. There's very different kind of options. So shared apartments range from around 280 euros per month. And then if you're looking for a studio apartment, then it is a little bit more expensive. There are also possibilities for family apartments. So if you are moving to Finland with your family, which you are allowed to do, then there's also an option of applying for a larger apartment where you can accommodate a whole family. The general calculated amount of money that a student needs to get all the essentials in Turku for 1 month is 600 euros. This includes the accommodation, food, and any other essentials. But of course, it depends very much on your style of living, the apartment, how much rent do you pay, and so forth. But we've been talking to our current students, and they say that this is something that most of them are very happy with, around 600 euros, and they are getting by very well. So that's something for you to know. Working is also something that many of our students do. In international as well as Finnish students, they work during their studies. Some work a few hours a week, some work a little bit more. It's also possible for international students. But we have to note that especially at the beginning of the studies, even if it is on the master level, the likelihood of you finding a job that is connected to your studies is rather small. So that most of our students actually work in hospitality and cleaning industries at the beginning of their studies. The university can't offer part-time jobs for students, but there are job portals that you can use. And we also have career services at the university who will be able to point you in the right direction when you are looking for opportunities in Finland. And of course, there's also opportunities for doing internships, either within the university or in any of the companies. It's something that the university can't promise everyone. We can't promise that we can find you an internship because it's not necessarily a mandatory part of your studies, but it is an opportunity. And we try to encourage students to do this because, of course, doing an internship with, let's say, a biomedical company here in Turku, when you are studying biomedical sciences, would certainly be an asset for you going on into the future. Moving into Finland, of course, as a student, you need a residence permit or a visa, if you want to call it that, and you apply for it through the local embassy or through a visa center. It's an online form. The application form itself is not that difficult, but you do need to be physically present at the embassy or the visa center for an interview and fingerprinting. So you have to allocate some time for this. And especially at the current situation, of course, it may be still a little bit difficult in the spring. The requirements, basic requirements for getting a student residence permit is that you have enough funds to support yourself for the year that you may be applying for. You can apply for the whole duration of master studies in one go if you wish, but then you have to have the funds for 2 years as well. So for 1 year, the funds that they require as a minimum is 6,750 euros. And then you also have to have an insurance that covers medical and drug expenses. After you graduate from the university, you can stay in Finland for a year on an extended visa, residence permit, to look for a job or start a business in Finland. So you don't have to vacate the country directly after you graduate. You can stay for a year to find if there are opportunities for you here, or possibly look for opportunities in some other countries from Finland. So that's also, of course, a possibility that you may wish to move to maybe another European country or somewhere else in the world, and you don't have to make the decision directly. You can stay here for a year and look for the opportunities. Then here we have a small graph of how the admission process actually goes and with how the timeline goes. So our application time for studies starting next autumn, so August 2021, will be the 7th of January. So that's when the application period begins. So you have to make sure that if you are looking to apply to us, that you already have all of the documentation you need to apply by the beginning of January. Because the application time is short, only 2 weeks, so it is very short. So you have to be sure that once you are looking to apply for us this coming year, you have to do it within the 2 weeks. We won't be able to admit any late applications. So you have to be able to apply at that time. But of course, if you are still thinking of your opportunities, you can apply to us next year, because we will have again the application time in January 2022 as well. But yeah, so 2 weeks application, after which the applications will all be screened for basic eligibility. They will be academically assessed by our programs, and then we will publish the admission results at the end of March. So you will know by the end of March if you've been admitted to our programs. Also, if you have applied for our scholarship, you will also get the information on if you were awarded a scholarship or not. And then you have to, during the summer, at the latest, you need to accept your study offer that we give to you if you wish to start your studies. The tuition fee needs to be paid by the end of July. And then at the end of August, we have the arrival days for new students and the student orientation, so that then the actual program courses will begin at the very beginning of September. So that's the basic timeline of application, admission, and starting studies. But right, after half an hour, I think we are moving on to questions. Here's just some basic facts for you to have a look at, but please do ask me questions you may have. I'll be more than happy to answer. So in the chat, do we have any questions here? Feel free to write any questions and I'll be able to answer them. Okay, let's see. Now we have question. Do we have to attach legalized academic documents with the online application? No. The documents don't need to be legalized at the time of application, but they need to be scans of the original documents. So please make sure that you scan the original documents, the full document in color, also the reverse side, and then, yes, thank you, Sohita. So that's something that you need to do. You have to scan the original, but it doesn't have to be legalized at that stage. If you are then admitted, we will ask you to provide the academic documents based on some of our international, we have country-specific requirements for certain countries. But basically, at the application time, the original scan is all that we are looking for. Okay. How much of a study gap is accepted for masters after bachelor studies? We don't have any requirements for that. You may have as long as a gap as you wish. If you have, for example, have been working for a few years in the middle, that's perfectly okay. It may actually be an asset. Maybe you've started a family, that's perfectly okay as well. We don't check that kind of information. So if there has been a gap, no problem. What is the stay back for bachelor's? I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Can the Ielts score be submitted later than the application deadlines? We have, after the application deadline of 20th of January, there's 1 week in which you can supplement your documents. But after that, we won't be able to accept any documents. So that the Ielts would have to be submitted by the 27th of January. This is mainly because we simply don't have the opportunity of waiting for documentation for very long, because we need to make the decisions. And also we can't admit students conditionally based on their language skills. So that the would have to be submitted in time. Do we have paid internships during the course? And I would be happy to know about placements. In very few of our programs, we have mandatory internships. So in general, internships are something that the student can choose to do, for example, during the summer. They can look for the places themselves. In most cases in Finland, the internships are paid. So you do get a salary of the time you work for, let's say, a company or possibly the university. But that is something that we can't promise everyone. So it is also up to the work the students does themselves. Then part-time job opportunities and hours of part-time job. Right. I think it was that you are allowed as a student to work 25 hours per week. And then during the time there's no teaching, which is, for example, during the summer, you can also work full-time. Part-time job opportunities are, as I said earlier, not offered by the university. So we don't have any jobs that we could offer. In general, sometimes there may be a project assistant place or something like that, but very, very few of those are offered every year. So in general, the part-time jobs are within the cleaning and hospitality industries, and the students look for them themselves. Is there a minimum aggregate required for applying for the programs? If I understand correctly, this means basically if there's a minimum score or a GPA or something like that that you need to have. In general, no. Our programs are more focused on the background of your studies. So if the courses and the degree you have done is actually relevant for the program you're applying to, then you have a better chance of being admitted than if you're studying something totally different, then you may not even be admitted at all. Till when can the 21 passing out student submit their final semester graduate? Right. So after you, when you apply, you have to provide us with the most current transcript of records or whatever you you get from the university, which shows all of the courses that you've done, the grades when the courses were done. So the mark sheets. You have to provide the very final ones that you have at that stage, the newest ones, and then you need to provide us with information of your graduation at the latest on the 10th of August 2021. So that's the final deadline. Is academic PTE accepted? Yes, we also accept PTE. We don't make any restrictions on the age, gender, nationality, any of these kind of things for our applicants. So even if you are a mature student, we are very, very happy to have you as an applicant and possibly as a student. Currently, we have students in our international programs, some that come directly from their bachelor's, they may be in their early 20s. We may have students who've been working in companies for 20 years and they come to us in their 50s, and that's perfectly okay. We are very happy to have different kind of students. Do we need to learn Finnish language to get part-time job or full-time job after completion of master's? Not necessarily. In many cases, it helps if you know some Finnish, that you have taken the time to learn some Finnish during your studies. But you don't need to be fluent in the language, because we do have a lot of companies in Turku and in Finland in general where the working language is actually English. But very often when they are recruiting international graduates, they do give you extra points if you've tried to learn some Finnish, and that you can, for example, get by in during coffee breaks. You can talk to your colleagues about the weather and current stuff, maybe a little bit in Finnish as well, not just in English. How many months fund maintenance is required for visa? So once you apply for the residence permit or visa, you need to prove that you have funds to support yourself for the whole duration of the time you apply. So if you apply for 1 year, you have to have funds for 1 year, 12 months. If you apply for 2 years, you have to have funds for 24 months. And so for 12 months, it was 6,750. And for 2 years, that would be double the money. What are the entry requirements for doctoral programs for international students? Well, I'm not working with doctoral programs, but in general, the language skill level is the same. So you have to have the same level of English language skills, and you have to have a master's degree or some other degree that gives access to doctoral level studies in the country where it was awarded. But in general, it is a master's degree that you need to have. For a master level program, can a student from a different academic backdrop at an undergraduate level apply to a different disciplinary program for their masters? That depends on where you would be applying to and which program. In some programs, they are very specific with the background of the degree, that it has to be the same background to be able to actually succeed in the studies. So let's give an example. You've been studying English language and literature for your bachelor's. You would not be able to succeed in biomedical sciences because they expect you to have a background of biomedical sciences. But with the same English language and literature program, you could possibly apply to some of our other programs, if you have done during your studies maybe something regarding to gender, you could maybe apply to gender studies, you could apply to future studies, but this really does depend on the program. How long is the post-study visa after bachelor's? It's the same 1 year, so it does not depend on which degree you graduate with. It's a 1 year after graduation that you can stay in Finland to look for a job. Can I give you an idea about the job opportunities in Finland after completing a master's degree program in food development? Well, I can't give you any exact numbers. Food development is something that we do quite a lot in Finland. There's actually some companies also in Turku that work with food development. And I know that the majority of our graduates in general do find jobs fairly soon after they graduate. But of course, it depends on the current job situation. If there are placements even there for students that are graduating from that particular field at that stage. So this really is sort of a bit difficult for me to answer directly on how would be the opportunities. But there are opportunities if you have already during your studies made some connections to companies, for example, maybe through an internship or maybe through studies doing some work together with the companies, which is very possible, for example, in food development program, you may then have better chances of getting a job. So building up your network during your studies is very important to ensure that you may have a good opportunity after you graduate. Do we need to courier hard copies of transcript and degree certificate to the university? Not during the application time. During the application time, we do not want any paper documents. We don't need them, and we actually don't want them. We want you to scan your original documents and attach the scans, good quality color scans, onto the application form. And then if you are admitted, then we will give you information how to provide us with the right kind of documentation on your degrees after the admission. But before getting a result from the application, there's no need to send any documents to us. Updates on the pandemic and COVID tests and so forth I'm assuming you wish to know a little bit how the things are going here in Finland and in Turku. Currently, the situation in Turku is it's fairly okay. We don't have that many cases, but the situation has gotten a bit worse than it was, for example, in the summer. So there are people getting infected. So far, it's not a huge number of people. I think if I remember correctly, in the whole of Finland, yesterday there were maybe 20 people in hospital due to COVID. So the situation is not that bad at the moment, but of course we don't know how things are going. If we get the vaccine, that would help, of course. We are requiring international students coming now to Finland to stay in self-isolation for 10 days after they arrive. It is also possible to take a test when you arrive. There's some opportunities even at the airport to do the test. And of course, then if you get a clean bill of health, then you would not need to be in self-isolation. But these are things that we don't know what the situation will be in next autumn. So August, September, we don't know what the situation is. Right now, the situation is what it is, but in half a year, we don't know yet. During this year, we've had a lot of, most of our studies have been online because of the situation, so very few on face-to-face courses. Top companies in Turku. Well, good question. Well, we have a huge shipbuilding company in Turku. They recruit, for example, our IT graduates sometimes, and then other graduates from our faculty of technology. Then we have Bayer, which is a medical company, which is very big. It's an international company. They also recruit students from our Biomedical Sciences programs, for example. What else would I give you as an example? In general, we have a lot of smaller companies that work with the fields that we are also researching in our university. Okay, an Indian working as a teacher. So if they take a course in education, will I be able to work as a teacher in Finland, or are there any other requirements? You will not be able to work as a teacher in Finland, not directly. We have a program that does not have an intake in 2021. We have a program called Primary Teacher Education. It's a program that includes a bachelor as well as a master. So it's a 5-year program. And after completing that program, you would be eligible to become a teacher in Finland. In general, the Finnish teachers are, it's a bit difficult to become a teacher in Finland because we require you to have actually a master's, which is fairly rare in the world to have a master's to become a teacher. So doing the education and learning program does not give you the qualifications of becoming a teacher, but rather as an expert or maybe a consultant in the field of education. I have an engineering background at an undergraduate level. Am I eligible to enroll myself in the Department of Life Sciences in the field of human neuroscience? Right. Well, it's actually not a Department of Life Sciences. It's in the Faculty of Medicine. But yeah, for human neurosciences, it depends a bit on your engineering background and what kind of engineering you've done. But it is possible. Please go to the website of that particular program and check, because all of our programs have a list of the degrees and sort of the idea of what kind of degrees they accept. However, please remember that the names of the degrees may be different in different countries, which means that even if your degree does not have that specific name, if you have studied that field, you may still be eligible, even though the name of the degree may be different. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see. How many backlogs will be accepted to study masters in Turku or other universities in Finland? I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by backlog. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. If you mean, do we have places for people who were not admitted during the first application round, maybe? We don't have that kind of system in our university, so you would need to be admitted during the first application time. What is the scope of organic chemistry in Turku? Oh, this goes a bit beyond my specialty. We have so many programs that I cannot answer specific questions regarding program content in our programs. So we'd have to go to the website and contact the program directly. Okay. Any other questions that there's still a few minutes left. Okay. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I wish to thank you guys for participating and thank you and listening to my presentation. Please be in contact with Europe Study Centre if you are interested in our university. They will be able to help you with the application procedures, what to do, how to apply, and so forth. For now, I wish you a very nice end of the year and good luck with the application time if you are applying to our programs. So thank you and goodbye, everyone.